Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so 3 game weeks left. That's it.
Just 3 to go.
The end of the 24-25 fantasy Premier League season is properly in sight now. And thankfully, no more double or blank game weeks to navigate.
Yeah, that's a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a straight shot to the finish line now.
But that means every single move, every transfer, definitely every captain pick, it's absolutely massive from here on out.
It really is. Crunch time. You can feel managers everywhere just, analyzing everything, searching for that little edge, mini leagues, overall rank. It's all still to play for. The pressure's definitely on.
Totally. And to help you navigate these final weeks, we've been doing some serious digging.
Yeah. Plenty of reading and listening.
We've gone through loads of YouTube transcripts, Fantasy Football Scout, FPL tips, above average FPL, the FPL Wire, Let's Talk FPL.
All the big hitters.
Plus articles from Fantasy Football Fix and the FPL Gameweek sites too. So a real mix of sources.
And the mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward, really. We want to pull out the key stuff, the golden nuggets from all that content.
Exactly. We're focusing on who's actually playing well right now, form players, and crucially, the latest team news. Injuries, potential rotation.
Which can just ruin your week, can it?
Oh, definitely. And of course, that big captaincy decision, who gets the armband. That's what we're here to unpack.
Right then. Where should we start? Team news feels like the obvious place.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Aston Villa. Sounds like they've got a problem. Yuri Tielemans.
Yeah. Seems like he's picked up a muscle injury. Could be quite serious. Potentially out for the rest of the season, so game weeks 36 through 38.
Oof. That's huge. He's been vital for them, hasn't he? Player of the season contender for Villa, surely. Big miss for their European hopes.
Absolutely. And another Villa-related point, Marcus Rashford. Now, there's a tiny chance he might play again, maybe game week 37. But apparently he's definitely ineligible for game week 38. So even if he comes back, it's fleeting. Just shows how quickly things can shift right at the end.
Yeah, good point. Okay, moving north. Newcastle.
Yeah.
Bit less clear there, maybe. Trippier and Cher.
Yeah, Eddie Howe was pretty tight-lipped as usual. Both came off last week. Trippier looked like maybe just cramp, which wouldn't be too bad.
Hopefully.
Cher, though, that might be more of a muscle issue. The fact Howe didn't give much away is, well, a bit concerning if you own them. You'll need to watch the press conferences closely.
Right, need that late info. Any good news for Newcastle?
Well, Anthony Gordon is apparently getting close to full fitness, pushing for a start, which would be a big boost for their attack. Joe Linton's still out, though.
Okay, gotcha. How about Spurs? Less about injuries, more about rotation risk, Europa League final looming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No real fresh injury news reported, but yeah, that final changes things. When you've got a massive European final on the horizon.
Priorities might shift a bit in the league games.
You'd have to think so. Managers with Spurs assets, you just need to be aware that key players might be rested or maybe have their minutes managed carefully. Makes sense, really.
Yeah, it does. Crystal Palace? Adam Morton seems to be out for this week.
Yeah, confirmed out for game week 36. Twisted ankle. But the good news, especially for Palace, is he should be back for the FA Cup final.
Ah, okay. Anyone else?
Reed and Doucouré are still out. But otherwise, it sounds like Palace are, relatively settled. Not expecting loads of rotation in 36 and 37, apparently.
That's interesting. Could make their players reliable picks then.
Potentially, yeah. Knowing Glasner likely wants to keep momentum before Wembley, it gives you a bit more confidence if you're invested there.
Right. Liverpool. Connor Bradley starting?
Yep, confirmed. Slot said he'll start at right back. And interestingly, he also sort of hinted at maybe more changes.
Oh, why is that?
Partly responding to the last defeat, maybe shaking things up, but also just wanting to give Bradley game time. Joe Gomez, by the way, still looks like he's out with that hamstring issue.
Okay, so Bradley's in, but maybe others aren't quite as nailed on as usual.
That's the question mark, isn't it? Especially after a loss. Managers sometimes look to change things. So maybe a bit more risk with Liverpool assets this week, particularly with Arsenal up next.
Yeah, tough game. And speaking of Arsenal, what's the news from their camp? Anything significant from Mateta?
Surprisingly, no. Not really any specific team news updates mentioned in the presser snippets we saw. It seemed like the focus was mostly on dealing with that Champions League exit.
So no new injuries flagged, but maybe we're thinking about the mood after a big disappointment like that.
Could be a factor, yeah. The physical effort, the emotional drain, playing Liverpool straight after. It might just take a bit of a toll, maybe some fatigue creeping in. Hard to quantify, though.
True. Okay, quick hits on a few others. Brentford, all clear.
Sounds like it, yeah. No specific injuries flagged for Game Week 36?
Nottingham Forest, though? Sounds like a few niggles.
Yeah, Adam Morton picked up an ankle twist in a U21's game, and Mario came off against Palace too. Plus Hudson-Odoi is still out.
So potentially impacting their attack a bit.
Could do, yeah. Especially if Mario's knock is serious. One to watch for updates if you're
Yeah.
looking at Forest attackers.
Right. Manchester City, the big one. Erling Haaland, what's the verdict?
Well, Pep City's ready and fit. Sounds positive.
But there's always a but with Pep, isn't there?
Haha, exactly. He said the final decision on starting him against Southampton will be made closer to the game. So still not 100% confirmed he starts. Rodri, Ake, and Oscar Bob are still out too.
Okay, so Haaland, massive potential if he plays, massive bench risk if he doesn't. Classic FPL dilemma.
Pretty much sums it up. High risk, potentially very high reward. And those other absences, Rodri especially, might affect how City play too.
Good point. And Chelsea, anything there? Brighton?
Nothing specific on Chelsea injuries mentioned. Brighton are still missing João Pedro, which is a blow for them, and Tariq Lamptey looks like he's still out as well.
Right, so Pedro's absence still impacting their attack. Okay, that's a lot of team news. Let's shift gears. Captaincy for Game Week 36.
The big decision.
Bruyne Mbeumo against Ipswich looks like a really popular shout, doesn't it? High ownership, seems reliable on pens.
Yeah, ticks a lot of boxes. Playing a relegated team at home, he's usually involved, takes penalties. Predicted points around 6.6, which sounds about right. Seems like the safe choice for many.
Safe, but maybe won't get you massive rank gains if everyone owns him.
That's the trade-off, yeah.
Yeah.
Comfort versus potential differential gains.
Okay, then the other big option, Haaland, against that Southampton defense. Wow.
Yeah, Southampton have conceded, 82 goals? Worst in the league. They allowed loads of shots, highest expected goals conceded.
It screams Holland Hall, doesn't it? Predicted points around 7.2, even higher.
If he starts, that's the massive caveat.
Right.
The sources noted Southampton's high line could be perfect for him, but yeah, that risk of him being benched or just getting 30 minutes, it's huge.
Proper gamble then. Boom or bust.
Definitely. You absolutely need to wait for lineups if you're considering captaining him, I'd say.
Makes sense. What about other options? Wissa and Mbeumo's teammate.
Yeah, he's being mentioned as a decent differential. Good form recently, like 41 points, 6 attacking returns in the last 6 games.
Interesting. Same great fixture, lower ownership. Could be smart if you're chasing.
Exactly. If he continues that form against Ipswich, he could deliver a really nice rank boost that Mbeumo might not.
Okay. Marmish, high ownership but playing Southampton away.
Yeah, the interesting thing with him, looking at the data, is all his goals and assists this season have come at home. 0 away returns.
Wow, really? That's quite a stat. Bit of a red flag for an away game then.
It has to be right. It shows you need to look beyond just ownership sometimes.
Definitely. Kevin De Bruyne, most transferred in this week apparently. Scored that winner last game.
Yep, always tempting, isn't he?
Yeah.
Quality player, playing Southampton.
Always.
Always. That's the big worry, especially with City still having things to play for potentially later on. Great option on paper, but that rotation risk is just always there. You weigh the upside against the chance he doesn't play much.
Tricky one. Chris Wood, playing his old club Leicester at home.
Yeah, the narrative's there. And Leicester's defense isn't exactly solid, but
Underlying numbers not great.
yeah, his minutes per expected goal involvement isn't fantastic. Suggests he needs a lot of time on the pitch to be likely to score or assist, statistically speaking. So maybe more of a hope pick than a data-driven one.
Gotcha. Mo Salah.
Yes.
Against Arsenal, usually a go-to captain.
Usually, yeah. But Arsenal have looked better defensively recently, and Salah himself, maybe not quite hitting peak form, only 2 attacking returns in the last 6.
Predicted points still decent, 6.6, same as Mbeumo.
Reflects his quality, I guess. You can never rule him out.
Hmm.
But maybe not as compelling this week compared to others, given the form and the fixture.
Right. And finally, Cole Palmer. Looked good against Liverpool, but now Newcastle away.
Yeah, he was brilliant against Liverpool.
Yeah.
But doing it again, away at St. James's Park against a Newcastle side fighting for Europe. That's a much tougher ask.
Yeah, different kettle of fish entirely. Talent's there, but fixture's tricky. Okay, loads to think about for captaincy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No easy answer this week.
Let's talk transfers then, and strategy for these last 3 weeks. Fixtures seem key, right? Focus on teams with good run-ins.
Absolutely crucial now. The sources were highlighting teams like Forest, City, Brentford, maybe Everton, especially with that home game in 37, Bournemouth, West Ham, Wolves, Villa 2. Got to target those favorable matchups.
And thinking about motivation, too. Teams fighting for something.
Yeah, that's important. Europe spots, relegation survival. Maybe even just a final home game can give players an extra push. Worth considering.
And the advice seems to be wait for information, don't rush transfers.
Yeah, overwhelmingly, patience is key. Press conferences, potential leaks.
Yeah.
That late news is gold dust now. Having cash in the bank is less important than having the latest team info before the deadline.
Makes sense. Avoid transferring someone in who then gets ruled out.
Exactly. Flexibility is your friend right now.
So, specific players getting mentions. Combining form in those good fixtures.
Wissa and Mbeumo, from Brentford obviously, they tick both boxes. Matea's Cunha at Wolves too looks sharp since coming back from injury.
Okay. And for people chasing, needing differentials, any names popping up?
Anthony Alonga at Forest, as mentioned, could benefit from their fixtures. Dwight McNeil at Everton, maybe for that Goodison game. And Damsgaard at Brentford. Apparently his underlying creative stats look promising.
Interesting. Low ownership punts, potentially.
Yeah, could pay off big if you need to make up ground.
And on the flip side, actively looking to sell players. Those with tough games or maybe teams on the beach already.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Just as important as buying right is selling right. Free up funds, get rid of players facing tough defenses or whose teams have maybe checked out for the season.
Right. And if you are tempted by Haaland, you need to figure out the money, right? Maybe selling Salah.
That's often the dilemma, isn't it? Haaland's expensive. Does bringing him in mean sacrificing another premium like Salah? Depends entirely on your team structure, your strategy, how much risk you want to take.
Yeah. Big decision. And just to reiterate, Man City players always come with that rotation warning label.
Always. Doesn't matter how good the fixture looks, Pep can always surprise you. You need to factor that risk into any City transfer. Maybe have cover on your bench.
Good advice. Okay, let's talk chips. 3 weeks left. Bench boost. When's best?
It seems like this week, game week 36, might be the safest bet if your bench is actually decent. Possibly less rotation across the league than in game week 38.
Right, 38 can be chaos.
Exactly. 37 is maybe an option too. But the key thing is, don't use it if your bench players have awful fixtures or just aren't likely to play. Needs to be worth it.
Makes sense. Free hit. Lots of talk about using it in game week 38.
Yeah, that's a popular strategy. Lets you load up on players whose teams definitely still have something to play for avoiding those players already mentally on holiday. Exploit the rotation elsewhere.
Could be powerful.
Yeah.
But maybe use it earlier, 36 or 37, if your own team has a load of bad fixtures.
That's another way to play it, yeah. Use it to navigate a particularly tricky week for your specific squad. Depends on your team's needs.
Okay. Triple captain. Where might that go? Helen this week, if he starts. Mbeumo.
Could do. Holland is the ultimate high ceiling pick if you're confident he plays 90 minutes against Southampton. Mbeumo is the steadier option this week.
Or save it. Maybe Salah against Brighton in 37. Or wait till 38. Salah or Saka against Southampton then? City players if the titles still live.
All possibilities. Really depends on form and fixture in those specific weeks. You want a player who's firing against a weak defense ideally to maximize those triple points.
Right. And finally, the assistant manager, Chip. Any thoughts on who to pick or when?
Use it in one of these last 3 weeks, definitely. Target a manager whose team has good fixtures. Pep's an obvious shout given City's run-in. Or maybe the Brentford or Forest managers.
But there was a specific point about bonus points this week.
Ah, yes, good point. Only managers of the promoted teams are eligible for the table bonus points in game week 36. So that slightly changes the calculation for this week specifically.
Ah, okay. Worth remembering. Right, let's pull it all together. General advice for the run-in.
Okay. First off, be ready for anything. Weird results happen, rotation happens. It's just how it is at the end of the season.
Don't panic. And captaincy is huge now, right, for ranked games.
Absolutely massive. If you're chasing, maybe consider a differential captain. Could make a huge difference.
But always weigh the risk. And keep hammering that point about late team news.
Cannot stress it enough. Wait for the press conferences. Wait for leaks if you can. Making informed decisions is crucial now. Don't make early transfers unless you absolutely have to.
And think about team motivation. Who's still fighting?
Yeah, Europe, relegation, final home game. It all adds a potential edge to player performance. Factored in.
And finally, don't be scared to take a calculated risk, especially if you need to climb.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be bold. But understand the potential downside too. Know why you're taking the risk. Is it necessary for your goals?
Balanced approach, maybe. Okay, so quick summary for Game Week 36 then. Watch that team news like a hawk, especially Haaland. Captaincy. Mbeumo for safety. Haaland for high-risk reward. Maybe Wissa as a differential. Think carefully.
Yep. And plan those last few transfers and any remaining chips very carefully. It's going to be a tense finish to the 24-25 season.
No doubt. With no more double game weeks, every single decision feels enormous now.
It really does. Need to be sharp, stay informed, and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit brave to hit your FPL targets.
Well said. And on that note, here's something for you to chew on. As this season speeds towards its end and things get, well, pretty unpredictable, what one bold move will you make in these final game weeks to grab your FPL glory? Thanks for diving deep with us.
FPL update, it's the time to play. Set your lineup, don't delay.